来是来打秋风吗？不如一并做了。
老如来，你与我们联手，灭掉此辽还不轻松。
On the golden top of the highest peak, there was a huge Buddha shining brilliantly as though he was made of pure gold. The 10,000 rays behind his head were incomparably outstanding. Great Thunderclap Monastery, old Buddha Rulai! Qin Mu's heart trembled violently. Great Thunderclap Monastery had come. Rulai personally led the guardians, venerables, bodhisattvas, arhats of Great Thunderclap Monastery in a rush here. What did he want to do? At this moment, Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor also felt something and suddenly attacked mercilessly, slaying Venerable Jikong in one strike. Right then, the strong practitioners of Heavenly Devil Cult also turned around and looked at the apparition of Mount Meru that was floating over. Bald donkeys! Left Guardian sneered. Bald donkeys! Everyone shouted in unison. Monk Yunke saw everyone calling the newcomers bald donkeys and forced himself to call them bald donkeys as well. After all, he was part of Heavenly Devil Cult now, even if he was a monk. The apparition of Mount Meru floated to the sky above them, and the guardians, venerables, bodhisattvas, and arhats on the mountain looked down together and said coldly in unison, "Evil creatures of the devil path." Qin Mu revealed a weird expression. The relation between our Heavenly Saint Cult and Great Thunderclap Monastery seems to be a little strained. Right Guardian put her hands on her hips and sneered at the sky. Bald donkey, stay if you have the guts to. Old woman, I can scold you for 3 days and 3 nights straight in all kinds of ways. A bodhisattva sneered. Shwe Bai, all you have left is that mouth of yours. Ignore them, said old Rolai who was on Mount Meru. If we continue squabbling with them, it may take us half a year. We have fought for a few hundred years and squabbled for a couple more, so there's no need to be impatient now. Let us take control of this battle first. The monks on the mountain didn't stop, and the apparition of Mount Meru floated over to the battlefield. Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor was still fighting with Teacher Pur and the rest, trying his best to get rid of all these strong practitioners before the apparition of Mount Meru reached them. At this moment, old Rulai's voice traveled over unhurriedly. Imperial Preceptor, Dao friends, can you guys do me a favor? Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor's sword she dispersed, and he stopped chasing Teacher Pur and the bronze-masked man. With a smile, he said, Rulai, please speak. Excellent, may Dao friends hold back, old Rulai said solemnly. Teacher Pur and the rest were ready to make their moves when they heard Rulai and hesitated for a moment. True Lord Tian was coughing up blood endlessly since her heart and lungs had been injured by Imperial Preceptor's sword chi. With a sharp voice, she asked, Old Rulai, are you going to join hands to get rid of this evil? Old Rulai shook his head. Wanderer Li's expression changed slightly and he sneered. Could it be that Great Thunderclap Monastery has also become the dogs of Eternal Peace Empire like Heavenly Devil Cult? Old Rulai shook his head again. Teacher Pur said indifferently, Old Dao friend, stop keeping us in suspense, just tell us directly. Old Rulai chuckled. I'm here to create good karma with everyone and settle this contentious issue. Everyone here is a cultivator, and if we continue fighting, how many heroes will be lost, how many inheritances will disappear? Why don't we turn hostility into friendship, be polite and amiable, putting an end to each other's karma? Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor's gaze wavered, but he did not say anything. Old Rulai looked at him and smiled. Imperial Preceptor is a kind man and had come to my Great Thunderclap Monastery once. I spoke to Imperial Preceptor about Buddhism, about Mahayana, and formed good karma with him. May I know if Imperial Preceptor can return this good karma back to this old monk? Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor said solemnly. Back then I was still young and traveled the world to seek knowledge. When I came to Great Thunderclap Monastery, Rulai didn't have sectarian bias and gave me pointers for my cultivation, therefore I can be considered half a disciple of Great Thunderclap Monastery, and it's only right of me to return this good karma. However, how would I know if I'm not releasing the tiger back into the mountains? These people are the masterminds behind the rebels. Would they give up just like this? If they rebel again, lives are going to be lost again. Rulai, you are benevolent, and should know what I'm worried about. Old Rulai smiled. Old monk will make them convert to Great Thunderclap Monastery and not interfere with the matters of the mundane world anymore. What does Imperial Preceptor think of this? Imperial Preceptor didn't express any opinion. Old Rulai smiled as he looked at Teacher Pur and the rest. Everyone here was outstanding talents back in the day, and had magnificent styles unmatched in our generation. After being powerful your entire life and living through an era in splendor, would you guys be willing to put down your arms and convert to Buddhism? True Lord Tian sneered. Old Rulai, with us and your great Thunderclap Monastery, won't it be easy to eliminate this evil? Do you think your great Thunderclap Monastery will be safe if you give up on this chance now? After Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor eliminates us, he will definitely eliminate Buddha as well. Why aren't you showing your devil-subduing methods and attack him mercilessly now? Old Rulai smiled in answer. No matter how Imperial Preceptor treats my Buddhism, there will still be people that believe and worship Buddha. No matter if there are devils or gods in this world, while there's conviction, Buddhism won't disappear just because Imperial Preceptor eliminates us, nor will it thrive if he supports us. If you are willing to let go of your grudges, follow me. If you aren't willing, this old monk can only say we're not fated. I'll take my leave. Suddenly, figures hurriedly descended from the sky and landed behind Imperial Preceptor. There were 100 generals of Eternal Peace Empire wearing blood-stained armor and radiating a desire to battle that surged into the sky. Duke Wei exclaimed with his big mouth. What happened? Rulai is here to join in the fun too, trying to take advantage? Imperial Preceptor, let us clean up this old monk and the rest of the bald. Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor raised his hand to stop him from saying any more. He then whispered, It's not good to let both sides suffer. It's a good thing for old Rulai to come forth and mediate. Duke Wei was bewildered, not understanding what he meant. They're clearly here to take advantage, taking this chance to recruit the masterminds of the rebels into their great Thunderclap Monastery, strengthening its power. These masterminds are all powerful people, and letting them go is equivalent to letting the tigers back onto the mountain. There will be endless troubles afterward. Imperial Preceptor, think thrice. Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor smiled. Since old Rulai gave his word that they will not interfere with the matters of the mundane world after they convert to Buddhism, I believe him. You really believe him? Duke Wei stared with his eyes wide open. You can't trust a person with no hair on his head with an important task. When he was about to say more, Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor raised his hand and said indifferently, Old Rulai is the head of Buddhism, and it's a good deed to come and resolve our grudges, returning peace back to the world. Furthermore, I'm also injured. On Mount Meru, the Bodhisattvas and Arhats heard what he said and turned their heads over. Old Rulai chanted one of the many names of Buddha to warn all the Bodhisattvas and Arhats. He then smiled. Since Imperial Preceptor is willing to resolve the grudges, how about you guys? Teacher Pur? Teacher Pur and the rest of them looked one another in the eyes and nodded silently. If they didn't agree to convert to Buddhism, old Rulai would not lift his finger to save them. After he left with all the strong practitioners of Great Thunderclap Monastery, they would definitely die under the hands of Imperial Preceptor. For old Rulai to bring all of the strong practitioners of Great Thunderclap Monastery, this meant that he was determined to win. If they agreed to convert to Great Thunderclap Monastery, Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor wouldn't dare to probe further. Old Rulai smiled. Since all senior brothers and sisters are willing to put down their grudges and convert to Buddhism, this world is an illusion, and you're sure to achieve your Tao. Imperial Preceptor. Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor pointed at the bronze-masked man and said, Rulai, he must stay. The bronze-masked man felt a lingering fear in his heart, and old Rulai frowned slightly. The Bodhisattvas, Arhats, and Venerables on the apparition of Mount Meru chanted the many names of Buddha. Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor said with a smile, He must stay. Even though his voice was light, his tone said that this was unquestionable and non-negotiable. Old Rulai sighed. This kind man, you have no fate with Buddhism. Teacher Pur, fellow senior brothers and sisters, please come up the mountain. Teacher Pur and the rest hesitated for a moment, looking at the bronze-masked man. They suddenly gritted their teeth and moved to Mount Meru. They said together in unison, we're sorry! There's no need for further words, I understand. The bronze-masked man laughed out loud. Imperial Preceptor, how are you going to deal with me? Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor said expressionlessly. I'll take you down and escort you to the capital city to meet the Emperor. Escort me to the capital city to meet the Emperor? The bronze-masked man's tone was quite weird when he spoke, but he smiled nonetheless. Then we'll have to see if Imperial Preceptor's sword is fast enough. He slowly raised his palm and suddenly smashed it against his bronze mask. It shattered into pieces, destroying the face beneath as well. Imperial Preceptor, the empire of Ling family will be ruined under your hands sooner or later. His head split open, and he died right away, but his body stood there straight like a rod and never collapsed. Duke Wei and the rest cried out and hurried forward while Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor stood motionless. He hadn't intercepted the bronze-masked man when he was about to take his own life on purpose. On the mountain far away, the corners of Qin Mu's eyes twitched when he saw this. For Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor to say that sentence was to force the bronze-masked man to suicide. No matter whose face was under the mask, he had to be someone high in the royal family, someone with an important position. He was a person of utmost importance to the Emperor. If he was taken alive by Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor and escorted into the capital city to meet the Emperor, not only would the Emperor be embarrassed, even the hearts of ministers would deviate. It would even become a problem for the Emperor whether he should kill him or not. When his true face was revealed, the Emperor's prestige would receive a severe hit and people from all levels of society would discuss it in secret, guessing if it was the man himself who had the intention to start a rebellion, or if it was the will of the Emperor. At that time, Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor's prestige would surpass that of the Emperor and most of the minister's heart would lean towards him as well. Even the Emperor would start to guard against him. If an internal conflict between the Emperor and Imperial Preceptor started, the Empire would be in danger, and the Ling family would be in danger as well. As a higher-up of the royal family, the bronze-masked man had to take his life. He couldn't let the Ling family be on the defensive, throw its face away. Because of this, he had to disfigure himself so that no one would know his true identity. Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor didn't stop him as he hoped that the man would take his life. He didn't want to escort him to the capital city to meet the Emperor. If the man didn't disfigure himself, Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor would have helped him do so. Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor didn't want to smack the Emperor's face or the Ling family's face. This was the best conclusion. If Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor really escorted this bronze-masked man back to the capital, it would mean that he really wanted to rebel and take over the throne. From the looks of it now, the throne didn't matter to Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor. He only wanted to borrow Eternal Peace Empire to execute his aspiration, to achieve the 3 immortal deeds. He wanted to become a saint. From Mount Meru, Rulai paid his respects to Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor. Imperial Preceptor, now that everything is settled, this old monk will be taking his leave. Take care, Rulai, said Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor as he returned the formalities. The apparition of Mount Meru floated away to the west. Teacher Pur, True Lord Tian, and the rest turned back their heads to see Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor giving the command to chop off the head of the bronze-masked man to bury it on the spot. The headless body was put into a coffin and prepared to be transported back to the capital. Wanderer Li sighed. Dao brother Rulai, if not for you. Old Rulai shook his head. There's no need to say anything more. Imperial Preceptor is already dissatisfied with my great thunderclap monastery. Let's go back to the mountain. I reckon my sinful disciple has already taken the opportunity to return to take his arm back. If we return in time, we might still meet him. The monks on the mountain were astonished. The apparition of Mount Meru floated past the mountain Qin Mu, and the rest were on, and sneers came from below again. Bald donkeys! The bodhisattvas, arhats, and venerables shouted one after another. Evil creatures of the devil path! Old Rulai shook his head and halted Mount Meru. He looked down and put his palms together. Senior brother! Most of the hall masters and guardians were astonished. Sword Hall Master gently shook his head at Qin Mu, but Qin Mu waved his hand and bowed his head. Senior brother! Old Rulai revealed an astonished expression and nodded before leading everyone away. Cult Master, why did you have to return that bald donkey's greeting? Right Guardian Shui Bai grumbled. Now that you exposed your true identity, you will be in the radar of that damned old badly. Something will definitely happen. As the sacred cult master, I can't not return the greeting after he greeted me as an equal. Qin Mu smiled. We can't keep hiding the fact that I'm the sacred cult master. Besides, I can't throw the face of all of you nor the face of the sacred cult. Everyone said in unison. We rather not have this face. On Mount Meru's apparition, a bodhisattva put his palms together. My Buddha, Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor said he was injured. Why didn't we take the chance? Is it real or fake? Old Rulai asked amiably and gently. The bodhisattva was stunned. Disciple does not know. Old Rulai smiled. Those that believed so have already lost, and some of them even died. Teacher Poor, it's because you guys believed he was injured that it was such a defeat, wasn't it? The expressions of Teacher Poor and the rest were ashen, and spiritual master Dao Quan blamed himself deeply. From the medicinal dregs of Qing Mu, he deduced that Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor had been severely injured and everyone believed him, which was why they had chosen the second choice, the martial way. However, he couldn't be blamed for it all. The surprise attack by the three old monsters of the old generation Teacher Poor, Wandererly, and True Lord Tian had to have severely injured Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor. The three old monsters were the peak existences of today's world. No matter if it were their abilities or reputation, they were at the top in the martial world. No one would doubt the abilities of these three seniors, so even though Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor was known as the genius that comes once in every 500 years and had a high reputation, he still couldn't be compared to any of the three. It was because of this that everyone believed that he was severely injured. The tiny details that came after only strengthened this notion. For example, when he gave a lecture in Imperial College, he only did so for 2 days, and there was perfume to cover the stink of his wound. There was also the event of the Dragon King of Dragon Rider sect visiting Imperial Preceptor's manor at night and leaving unscathed. Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor hadn't been able to hold him back. In the battle between Imperial Preceptor and Wanderer Jin of Little Jade Capital, Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor's injuries had relapsed, which was why he needed Qing Mu, this little divine physician, to nurse his body day and night. The deduction of spiritual master Dao Quan and all kinds of other things indicated that Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor's injuries had relapsed. It was then deduced that even with Qing Mu's treatment, he would require at least a month to recover. And all of this had begun when Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor was ambushed. From the very start, they were destined to be made use of in his scheme. The two choices were also part of the scheme. There had never been two choices, only one. It's not so easy to deal with a genius that appears once every 500 years, Old Rolai said indifferently. These 500 years don't only mean his wisdom, aptitude, and comprehension are that profound, but his strategies and tactics are also something one may see only once in 500 years. If such a genius can't become a saint, then he will become a lawless devil, and it won't be fortuitous to this world. Believe? He smiled, then said, "Fool." Everyone was bewildered. They didn't know why Old Rolai had said this kind of words, but they felt that his speech was concise and comprehensive, having a deep meaning. Beggar Sect Master Chideo said, he had allied himself with Heavenly Devil Cult and is destined to be a lawless devil. What a pity we don't know who's the new cult master of Heavenly Devil Cult. We know. Old Rolai smiled. It's none other than the young man that returned my greeting. Come to think of it, this old monk had a destiny with him and wanted to enlighten him to Great Thunderclap Monastery, but it's a pity that the destiny was suddenly broken and passed on to another wonderful being. It's him? Most of the monks, Teacher Pur, and the rest of people on Mount Meru were stunned for a moment. Old Rolai smiled. It's him. Those old Dao friends are quite remarkable, to have taught such a little devil. What a pity Kakura staff couldn't retain its destiny. I was only a step late, only a step. Imperial Preceptor, you're smarter than me. Couldn't you see any problems with Mount Meru's arrival? Duke Wei looked at the headless body entering the coffin, and turned his head to talk to Imperial Preceptor who was beside him. They were clearly here to take advantage of this situation and save Teacher Pur and the other old monsters, strengthening the power of their Great Thunderclap Monastery. If these people aren't rid of, they will be a problem in the future. Teacher Pur and the rest have only 10 to 20 years left, so they are of no concern. Let Old Rolai save them, said Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor. I understand Old Rolai's actions. It's as expected that he came to take advantage of the timing. I'm injured, so I had no strength to stop him. Duke Wei sized him up in suspicion, his expression quite weird. Real or fake? Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor said solemnly. It's real. Are you sure? Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor scowled at him. Of course it's real. You try fighting with those cult master level existences. And there were even 3 godlike existences among them. How can I be unscathed when it was a fight to the death with them? I don't believe, Duke Wei said resentfully. I'd be a fool to do so. I won't believe a word you say. Those that believed you are all lying in coffins, unable to move an inch. Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Actually, I'm quite truthful sometimes. That's why you can trick others convincingly. I can't read you. Duke Wei looked down at the coffin and kept quiet for a moment. You should know who is in the coffin. Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor shook his head. I can't say. I will know even if you don't say. When we go back to the capital, we will know once we see which old prince has suddenly died. Duke Wei looked left and right before whispering. There's a conflict in Ling family, and this won't be an isolated incident. What if the old Empress Dowager is the same? I feel that you should take a step further and just be the emperor. Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor glanced at him with murderousness in his gaze. Duke Wei jumped in shock and hurriedly said, You and I have been friends for over 200 years. Don't scare me. This isn't my idea. This is what the old brothers that are following you think. Your position has been raised to the max, so even if you do an enormous contribution, there will be no way for the emperor to raise your official position anymore. Now that you have done another huge contribution by quelling the rebellion, how do you want the emperor to reward you? To hand the throne over to you? Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor shook his head. The emperor and I are bosom buddies. The emperor knows me and knows I won't ask for credit. What I want is to achieve the aspiration of my lifetime. That's why the emperor is troubled. If he won't reward you, everyone in the world will be bitterly disappointed. If he wants to reward you, there's nothing he can reward you with. Do you want him to give you beautiful women? Do you want him to give you gold? Duke Wei said in a low voice. The emperor knows you well, but what about the crown prince? When the crown prince succeeds the throne in the future, will he know you as well as his father? What would the crown prince use to reward you? Furthermore, those old brothers that have followed you all their life can also get promoted if you go a step further. Some can't wait to be promoted, and if they want to achieve that, they have to support you up to the throne. What do you think Empress Dowager is worried about? About you. She's worried about those people under you. I seek my own path. There's no need for you to say anything else. Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor walked forward while speaking calmly. It's tiring to talk to you. You shall just quell the rebellion properly and clean up all the rebel remnants. I shall find the little divine physician to treat me. Treat you again? Duke Wei was puzzled. You're really hurt? You aren't lying to me again? Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor didn't give him a pleasant look and waved his hand as he walked away. Qin Mu brought the dragon Qilin, Qin Wanyun, Yu Qinghong, and the rest down the mountain. Meanwhile, all the hall masters, as well as left and right guardians of Heavenly Devil Cult, activated their teleportation flags to leave. Below the mountain, Qin Mu and the rest met Imperial Preceptor. I'm injured, Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor said. PSSH, the dragon Qilin tried to stifle its laughter. Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor gave a glance at this enormous creature, and the dragon Qilin immediately shut its mouth. Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor's complexion was a little pale as he told Qin Mu. I'm injured. Qin Mu asked suspiciously. Real or fake? It's real. Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor's complexion grew even paler. You serious? It's true. Veins started to pop out on Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor's forehead. Alright then. Only an empty city remained in place of Daxiang City, which was razed to the ground. There was no medicine store here, so they could only return to Hidden Fog City. There was a lake around here which frequently saturated the air with fog. The city ended up appearing and disappearing in the fog, which was how it got its name. In a governmental office, Qin Mu checked on Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor's injuries and discovered that there were more than 100 places in which he was wounded. Most of them were internal injuries, and there were even venomous insects in his body. There were also injuries in his divine treasure, but he was lucky he had a dense cultivation which helped him suppress them. The injuries were all different, and the ones that had invaded his divine treasures were especially hard to deal with, testing Qin Mu's medical skills. The injuries in the Spirit Embryo Divine Treasure, 5 Elements Divine Treasure, 6 Directions Divine Treasure, 7 Stars Divine Treasure, Celestial Being Divine Treasure, Life and Death Divine Treasure, and Divine Bridge Divine Treasure were all abnormally hard to deal with. The injuries on the soul were also a huge test. This was a rare opportunity for Qin Mu to learn about the secrets of the divine treasures in great depth. The external injuries, on the other hand, weren't as severe. If he wanted to nurse Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor's injuries, it was going to be a huge project. Qin Mu calculated for quite some time before setting his mind on a treatment method and ordering people to collect the herbs. Most of the herbs in the medicine store were ordinary ones, with the precious ones being harder to find. Even though Hidden Fog City was large, there were still many herbs that were unavailable here and required them to seek them out in the capital. Qin Mu first treated the injuries that could be treated with the herbs available. The other injuries would have to wait until they were back in the capital. In the governmental office, Qin Mu ordered to find him an incomparably huge pot. The pot was then filled with water and herbs, and a huge steamer was placed inside to let Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor lie inside naked. Hundreds of needles were pierced into his body, their points reaching his divine treasures. The silver needles were used as a bridge to draw the medicinal energy into the divine treasures. Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor lay inside the steamer quietly when he suddenly said, "If the Emperor rewards me with beautiful women and gold, should I want them?" Qin Mu twirled the needle in the heart of his brows. That silver needle had a hollow center which could help guide the medicinal energy. "What else can the Emperor reward you with?" Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor was silent for a moment. "There's nothing else." "Then you should take them." Qin Mu took another needle and jabbed it into the lungs. "Who else is in Imperial Preceptor's house? Other than me, just a few old servants and bodyguards. How much money do you have? The salary every month is enough for me. Do you have a wife or children? With heaven's law in one's heart, what's the need for desire? Imperial Preceptor should start a family. You should stop talking. After I place this needle, I will have to cover the steamer and raise the fire." After half a month, Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor had regained much of his complexion. While treating him, they had passed by 15 cities, yet Qin Mu had not found all the spirit herbs he needed. However, the injuries were more or less cared for. Qin Mu was proficient in using medicine, so when not having top-quality spirit herbs, he used ordinary ones to replace them. However, some injuries really needed incomparably precious spirit herbs, which left him helpless. When they reached the capital, they saw white lanterns and white banners hanging on numerous streets. After asking around, they learned that North Garrison King Ling Yifeng had passed away. The emperor was mourning, so the entire empire was grieving. North Garrison King Ling Yifeng was the younger brother of the former emperor, and was ranked 8, so he was referred to as 8 Imperial Uncle. He was well respected and loved by the people, since when the former emperor was conquering the world, 8 Imperial Uncle had outstanding military service, conquering numerous countries. The injuries he received were very severe, and he had almost died a few times in battle, yet he had also saved the life of the former emperor quite a few times. The successful ascension of Emperor Yifeng to the throne was due to his support. He played a huge part in paving out the empire of the Ling family.